Welcome back to another Scope of Sports live show. But before we go, I'm Oliver Hayes, joined by Kianna Daye.
And this is what we gotta say. That was kind of tough, wasn't it?
It was, but not as tough as the Buffs' double overtime win over CSU this weekend. Patrick-Dawson was at Folsom Field for yet another Colorado win in the Rocky Mountain Showdown.
What's up, Buffs fans? Patrick-Dawson here reporting from Folsom Field for Scope of Sports. Just at the end of the Rocky Mountain Showdown, renewed from 2019, University of Colorado Buffaloes took on the Colorado State Rams and ended up winning 43-35. However, it was a rough first 3.5 quarters for the Buffs. They started out really slowly. Multiple long sustained drives are ending in field goals. We even had a blocked field goal that wasn't too great for us. Some drop passes, penalties, killed momentum, ended drives in punts. Even Travis Hunter taking a big hit. He did momentarily come back to the game after leaving, but at halftime was sent to a hospital for further evaluation. Coach Sanders said in a post-game press conference that he will miss a few weeks. But later on in the game, tight ends made the difference. Michael Harrison came in after not seeing the field for the first 5 drives, had the game-time 2-point conversion, and had 2 touchdowns tonight. It was just absolutely incredible scenes from the entire field. Fans, players, family alike, the band, the cheerleaders, it was all incredible. It was the best game that I've ever seen in my life. Definitely incredibly entertaining. If you weren't there, I'm so sorry. And once again, Patrick-Dawson reporting from Folsom Field for Scope of Sports.
Thank you for the recap, Patrick. Now we're going over to Talis Schreiber for this week's edition of Buff Banter.
Saturday's electrifying clash between the Colorado Buffaloes and the Colorado State Rams was a thrilling showcase of college football seen by the nation. The in-state rivalry carried even more meaning this year as the coaches threw shots at each other through the media leading up to the matchup. And that beef obviously carried onto the field. Before the game even kicked off, a scuffle at midfield saw the stars of CU jaw with the Rams, and this was only a hint of what was to come. Dirty plays, penalties, and smack talk overshadowed the game on Saturday, but no play has impacted the Buffs like the one that sent star player Travis Hunter to the hospital. In the second quarter, this fierce hit by Colorado State safety Henry Blackburn onto Hunter sent CU to the red zone via an unsportsmanlike conduct call. Hunter tried soldiering it out and returned to play for one drive, but the hit not only knocked him out of the rest of the game, he ended up being sent to the hospital. In the post-game press conference, Coach Deion Sanders said he didn't know the full extent of Travis's injuries, but that he knew for certain he would be out for a few weeks. The injury was a mystery on Saturday, but it was reported on Monday that Hunter had a laceration of his liver. Luckily for the sophomore, his injuries are not severe and he should be back in full force in 3 to 4 weeks. Still, it's a major loss for CU, especially given who they face next. In the coming 2 weeks, Colorado will face maybe their toughest test of their year. On Saturday, they head to Eugene to face number 10 ranked Oregon Ducks. Then the week after, they're back home in Folsom, but it won't be easy as they host number 5 ranked USC Trojans. USC has the consensus number 1 overall pick for the NFL draft in Caleb Williams, who won the Heisman Trophy last year. Hunter played every single snap on the offensive and defensive side before the hit. In losing him, Coach Prime and the Buffs will need a new game plan. In the second half of the Rocky Mountain Showdown, we saw the impact the loss had on the squad. The life seemed to be sucked out of the offense. Quarterback Shedeur Sanders appeared rattled, and multiple 3-and-outs were forced by the defense of the Rams. After the game, Shedeur said he was looking for somebody to step up. On the other side of the ball, Colorado State's passing game really began to ramp up, exposing the Buffs' corners. Still, Sanders found new targets, and the Hunterless defense made a huge plays en route to the double overtime win. Yes, he is a very key factor to this team, dominating on both sides of the ball. But the Buffs roster has more than enough talent necessary to accommodate for the big absence. Utilizing stud pass catchers like Xavier Weaver, Jimmy Horn, Mikey Harrison, or Dylan Edwards on Saturday is how they did find success and how they can do it again. The defense also needs to stick to the basics. getting aerated by the lowly Rams. Defensive coordinator Charles Kelly and his staff like running heavy man coverage, which can get exposed at times. If CU plays more zone coverage that can lock down the majority of the playing field, they will be able to neutralize the pass-heavy offense of their next opponents, Oregon and USC. While the offensive sides of the ball have star-studded pieces to make up for the absence, this is an area where the defense lacks. One of the most well-known names on that side of the ball, Cormani McClain, has yet to see the field other than contributing to the punt team. Coach Sanders said plain and simple, he's not ready. It will take true team effort from the secondary as a whole in order to make up for the loss. This has been Talis Schreiber, and now here's to Patrick Dawson with more on that hit that hurt Hunter.
The sorrow following the loss of Hunter from the game quickly turned into anger directed at Henry Blackburn, the safety who laid the hit. Following that infamous hit on Hunter, there was large fallout and backlash directed at both Blackburn himself and the program of Colorado State football in general. Shannon Sharp added to the discourse on Monday morning's First Take.
Survive. Shannon, are you encouraged or discouraged by the win that it was close to this competition?
No, I'm encouraged they found a way to win. Down by 11 points in the fourth quarter. Look, this is a rivalry game. Jay Norvell had his team ready to play. He said what he said for a reason. That was to get his guys because he knew it was going to get back to Coach Prime and his team, and they would be ready to go. I thought both coaches should have got a grasp on this thing a lot sooner because it started to spiral out of control. You had 17 penalties for Colorado State, 182 yards, and it ended up costing the game. And this is what I tell people all the time. Either you coach it or you condone it. Either you coach that type of play or you condone that type of play. And it's telling me that he condoned that late hit on Travis Hunter.
That's right.
It
was a late hit.
He should have been out. And then Kamara got ejected because he late hit Shador, wrapped him up, didn't give him an opportunity to protect himself when he.
Colorado State head coach Jay Norvell responded to the criticism of the hit and Colorado State's 10 personal foul game.
You know, I want to address one other thing. I know there was a play in the game there where one of their kids got hurt, and I reviewed the play. It's a play that happens sometimes. You know, when you throw a deep ball and you got a guy playing middle safety, he's got to react on the boundary and he's going full speed. It was a bang-bang type of a play, and the officials looked at it. We looked at it. It's certainly not something that we teach or coach. It happens in football sometimes. And so, you know, there seems to have been a lot of attention about that play, but it's a play that happens. And
after Dion publicly declared the situation over, Shiloh Sanders added more fuel to the fire with his ferocious comments at Tuesday morning's media availability.
Travis mentioned on the Bleacher Report live show yesterday that you were one of the first people to call him after the game. Can you provide us any details on that conversation and just what you said to him after the game?
Man, Travis is my guy. Every time we stay in the same hotel room, and we usually switch off like ordering each other food. Like in the mornings, like for the second game, I think he ordered me so much food from McDonald's. And then next time I was like, bro, what you want, bro? You know I got you. And I got him some Chick-fil-A. But man, losing Travis is like losing two players, so because he plays offense and defense. But I just had to make sure he was all right. I really wanted to whoop that dude that did that to him for real, like after the game or something. Like if I see him just around here somewhere, you got to watch out. But that really made me mad, you know, just seeing him try to play dirty like that, and that was crazy. I thought like something would happen like punishment wise, but if one of us did something like that, if I did that, I think it would be like way crazier than that. Like it would have kicked me out for sure. So I ain't really like that, but I just called to make sure he was all right.
The criticism quickly crossed boundaries as Blackburn reported to not only personally receive death threats, but also had threats targeted at his family, and his own home address and phone number were also posted on social media. Coach Prime quickly condemned the actions taken by people who were put off by the hit so severely that they felt threats were necessary.
Henry Blackburn, I want you guys to record this and run with this. Henry Blackburn is a good player who played a phenomenal game. He made a tremendous hit on Travis on the sideline. You could call it dirty. You could call it he was just playing the game of football. But whatever it was, it does not constitute that he should be receiving death threats. This is still a young man trying to make it in life, a guy that's trying to live his dream and hopefully graduate with honors or degree, committed to excellence and go to the NFL. He does not deserve a death threat over a game. At the end of the day, this is a game. Someone must win, someone must lose. Everybody continues their life the next day. Very unfortunate. I'm saddened if there's any of our fans that's on the other side of those threats. I would hope and pray not, but that kid was just playing the best of his ability, and he made a mistake. So I forgive him. CU, our team forgive him. Travis he's forgiven him. Let's move on. But that kid does not deserve that.
According to CSU Athletic Director Joe Parker and Norvell, campus police and local police are investigating the matter. Norvell later had this to say about the situation.
Yeah, our university is supporting him. The police department is supporting him because of the seriousness of the threats that have come out of this. And I mean, it's just sad. It's sad that that's the state of the world we live in. And I mean, it's a football game. Let's not make it more than that. I mean, we don't want anybody to get hurt. We don't coach that kind of football. And I've been talking to Henry about that. I talked to him last night, and I talked to him today. And it's discerning and it's unsettling. And I mean, this kid should be worrying about going to school and getting ready to play football. He shouldn't be worrying about that kind of nonsense.
Their next Rocky Mountain Showdown takes place once again next year in Fort Collins.
Thanks, Dallas and Patrick. Hopefully the next Rocky Mountain Showdown is a lot cleaner. But with Hunter being out, someone needed to step up on the defense and make plays. That player was none other than Shiloh Sanders, Coach Prime's son. Sanders kicked off the game with an 80-yard pick six, electrifying the crowd and putting up the first points on the board for either team. Later in the night, he forced a fumble, ending a CSU drive. Due to his impressive play, Sanders received the Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Week. He changed the game, and he was stunting like his daddy.
In a tight race for Dion's Power rankings for his kids, Shadur and the Buffs got another big win over the weekend, defeating in-state rival Colorado State University. Sanders took home 3 awards this past week, including a 3rd straight Manning Award. He also took home the Davey O'Brien and Earl Campbell Tyler Rose Awards. This comes as his rankings in the national space continue to skyrocket following his expectation-breaking debut FBS season. Through 3 games, he has totaled over 1,200 passing yards and has 10 touchdowns with just 1 interception on the season. At BetMGM, he opened the season with plus 12,500 odds to win the Heisman Trophy. He is now down just plus 1,800 plus. This puts him ahead of P.O. Nix. Oh my God, this rival Pac-12 opponent that he faces this weekend on the road, head coach and Shadur's father, that has recently said that Shadur will not leave for the NFL following this season. However, his draft stock continues to rise. SBS Sports put him at 4th best quarterback in the projected 2024 NFL draft. It has become clear that the nation has realized that how good the Buffs quarterback can be.
This week's Associated Press Top 25 rankings for college football released, and Colorado opened Week 4 at number 19. After starting the year unranked, Colorado skyrocketed above preseason expectations and was ranked 18th in the nation before their close victory over the Colorado State Rams in this past weekend's Rocky Mountain Showdown. The Buffs were heavy favorites over the Rams, with Colorado being 23.5-point favorites. The Rams, however, showed up ready to play and brought the Buffs down to the last second. The Buffs did eventually win in double overtime by 8 points, but voters have decided that Colorado's small showing of weakness was enough to drop them 1 spot. Next week's opponent, Oregon, has jumped 3 spots to number 10 in this week's rankings.
The widely covered rebuild within Colorado's football team has been the talk of the nation ever since Coach Prime came to town and turned the program upside down. However, as covered in our first episode of the year, there were 9 returning players who struggled through the tough 1 and 11 2022 campaign. The most notable of those might be tight end Michael Harrison after navigating a complete coaching staff change and the switch from receiver to tight end. Harrison came up big for Buffs with 7 catches on 7 targets along with 2 touchdowns and the game-tying 2-point conversion at the end of the 4th quarter. This comes after he spent 2 years as almost exclusively a special teams contributor. Other than him, safety Trevor Woods has also been given his fair share of praise after forcing multiple turnovers this season, including the game-sealing interception versus Colorado State. Marvin Ham II has also been a consistent starter at linebacker for the Buffs. He's had 3 tackles through the first 3 games season. That is a career high for him. Across every season he has played for Colorado, and we aren't even halfway through the year. Also, Jared Christian Lichtenhan has continued to be a reliable starter at the offensive line for the Buffs. The 6'10" tackle continues to be a force in the unit tasked with protecting Colorado's star quarterback, winning the Pac-12 Offensive Lineman of the Week award for his performance in Week 2 against Nebraska.
Despite the late 10 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff for the recent Rocky Mountain Showdown, ESPN PR has reported that the matchup between the Colorado Buffaloes and the Colorado State Rams averaged 9.3 million concurrent viewers. That makes last Saturday's night's game the 5th most viewed college football game in ESPN's history. It also makes it the most watched college football regular season game in ESPN's history. The game peaked with 11.1 million viewers at 11 to 11:15 that night, as it appears that regardless of the time of day or night, everyone in the country wants to see how the Buffs are doing.
With everyone turning in, Xavier Weaver put on show with 9 catches for 98 yards and a touchdown versus the Rams. He fell 2 yards short of the 3 straight 100-yard performances, and that brings us to today's trivia question. We want to know who was the last Colorado receiver to have 3 consecutive 100-yard performances. We will have that answer for you later in the show. After this break.
Welcome back. A huge driving force of the ratings surge from Saturday's clash with CSU was the historic coverage the Buffaloes got all weekend, as ESPN's College Game Day returned to Boulder Saturday morning for the first time since 1996. The show was a resounding success, with Peggy in the house to lead the Buff clap, The Rock making an appearance as a celebrity guest picker, and the iconic Lee Corso choosing the Buffs to win for his 400th headgear pick to close out the show. Overlapping with Game Day was once again Fox's Big Noon Kickoff, this time hosted by former NFL superstar Rob Gronkowski. He brought out rap legend Lil Wayne, who, if you remember, was the first of many celebrities to visit the Buffs facilities after Coach Prime's hiring back in December. Weezy held a mini concert and was gifted a custom jersey from Coach Prime at Big Noon, closing out the pregame festivities later that night by heading CU out of the locker room to his 2009 hit, Surf Swag. The electronic Folsom crowd was joined by other rap icons, Offset, Key Glock, and Master P, along with NBA stars Kawhi Leonard and Kyle Lowry. Even The Rock joined the Buffs in the locker room that night, providing the squad with some elite pregame motivation. All this history is proving that for now, Boulder might just be the center of the college football world.
Bryce Underwood, a 5-star class of 2025 prospect from Belleville, Michigan, was another visitor to Boulder last week to meet with Coach Prime. The #1 quarterback and overall recruit for his class in the nation has led Belleville High School to back-to-back state championships. Underwood has been eyed by many other elite football programs, receiving offers from Michigan State, Penn State, Alabama, Ohio State, and LSU.
And while Underwood could be a huge part of CU's future, several notable Buffs have yet to make their debuts with the black and gold. Most notably, 5-star corner Cormani McClain has not touched the field this season and likely won't for the time being, despite injuries in the Buff secondary. When asked what is holding the #4 overall prospect from the 2023 class back from a debut, Coach Prime bluntly said himself. Among those that are ready to go this week is running back Alton McCaskill, who transferred to the Buffs from Houston this past May. He scored 16 touchdowns and was the AAC Freshman of the Year with the Cougars in 2021, before tearing his ACL and missing the entire 2022 season. However, he's ready, according to Prime, and had his non-contact vest removed from practice this week. This sophomore from Conroe, Texas, has garnered comparisons to football legends such as Adrian Peterson and can make a huge impact for a Buffs run game that has struggled to this point in the season. Defensive back Travis Jay and linebacker Brendan Gant are other names to watch for possible first appearances, with less than 24 hours until Colorado's showdown with the Ducks in Eugene.
Before you catch the Buffs on Saturday, catch our very own preview hosted by Oliver and Jared Miller on the Sco Buff Sport page YouTube. Premiering tonight, the duo went in depth on the upcoming number 19 Buffaloes versus the number 10 Oregon Ducks.
Just in case you haven't already had your fair share of early mornings, the kickoff time for the matchup between our Buffs football team and the number 5 ranked USC Trojans has been announced, and it's an early one. Upon returning from their first road game since the season opener, the Buffs will kick off versus the Trojans at 10 a.m. local time on Saturday, September 13th. Make sure you get some good Z's before that game. As always, we know you guys will be up bright and early, ready to pack Folsom as soon as the gates open.
In primetime standards, CU Boulder has officially sold out every game this year for the first time in school history. From 1946 to 2022, Folsom Field sold out just 17.5% of their home games. Coach Prime has changed the program's culture around, with Buffs winning more games already than last season. The Buffs have a 3-0 record, with the Prime train not slowing down, and with the next home game being against the current ranked number 5 USC Trojans.
Michigan State has given their notice to terminate head football coach Mel Tucker's contract after allegations of sexual harassment. Michigan State alerted Tucker on their intent to fire for cause on Wednesday after a months-long internal investigation into Tucker's behavior. Tucker is alleged to have masturbated while on the phone with university contracted sexual abuse advocate Brenda Tracy without consent. Tucker denies these allegations. By firing Tucker for cause, Michigan State will no longer be on the hook for the remainder of his massive 10-year, $95 million contract that was signed in 2021. However, as per his contract, he is to be paid $1.5 million as he was fired between January 16, 2023 and January 15, 2024. Colorado gave Tucker his first head coaching opportunity in 2019 before he left for Michigan State after just one season in which he went 5-7. Tucker was 20-14 in 3 seasons at Michigan State, including an 11-2 season in 2021.
Go Buffs!
Go Buffs!
Thank you.
The women's soccer team has improved to 8 wins and only 1 loss after their commanding 3-1 win last Friday over the Denver Pioneers. That win gives them a 7-game win streak dating back to August 24th, almost a whole month ago. Their 8 wins so far match what they have got all of last season, and we're not even halfway through the season. They also moved up 2 spots in the rankings to number 20, their highest of the season. They have potential to even move up more spots with a matchup tonight against the 5th-ranked UCLA. Colorado's volleyball team has also been playing well. Lacey Danielle and Reagan Noby were at their most recent games for recaps.
This is Reagan Kanabi for Sco Buff Sports here at the CU Event Center, where the University of Colorado women's volleyball team just beat the University of Denver Pioneers. After a hard-fought match, the Buffs beat the Pioneers in 4 sets. Let's take a look at the first set, which the Buffs lost 25-20. The Buffs had a difficult time stringing together points, and their small comeback was just a little bit too late. Anna Borolavi had a few big plays in this first set, most notably a back-to-back kill and service ace. The Buffs took set 2 25-21 after 7 kills from Lexi Heydrich. Set 2 was a back-and-forth battle after the Buffs opened the set 3-0, then traded points with the Pioneers for the remainder of the set. We'll take a look at set 3, where an impressive kill barely inbounds from Sky Howard was followed up by a sneaky setter dunk from Taylor Simpson. After the Pioneers went up 3-0 to open set 3, the Buffs regained control and led for the rest of the set. After 2 big kills by Lily Dwinell, the Buffs took set 3, 25-19. Lexi Hadrick was absolutely unstoppable in the fourth set, racking up 8 kills and tying her career-high 22 kills. The Buffs really started to gel in set 4, finding a nice rhythm through 4 consecutive points in the middle of the set, prompting a Pioneers timeout. The Pioneers fought back near the end, but ultimately it wasn't enough, and the Buffs won set 4, 25-18. It was a great game today in the CU Event Center. The Buffs' next home game is Thursday, September 21st versus Utah. This is Reagan Kanabe for ScoBuff Sports.
Hey guys, this is Lacey Daniel here with ScoBuff Sports, and the Colorado women's volleyball team just won their first conference game versus Utah. The Colorado Buffaloes volleyball team took on their first conference opponents today at the CU Event Center versus the Utah Utes. The Buffaloes won their first 2 sets relatively easy with a combined point differential of 16 points, and even opened up the third set with an 8-1 lead, but they unfortunately ended up losing that set 28-30. They also had a slow start to the fourth set, but they rallied back and won the last set 25-19 to win in 4 sets and beat their first conference opponent. This is Lacey Daniel, ScoBuff Sports.
Thanks, Lacey and Reagan. The volleyball Buffs have been killing it. Earlier in the week, the women's golf team attended their season opening invitational at Chambers Bay Golf Course. The team finished 6th overall and placed 3 members in the top 20 at the Leadership in Golf Invitational on Tuesday. Entering the final round of the Invitational ranking 3rd, the team hit a rough spot towards the end, losing 9 strokes on a 3-hole stretch. Graduate transfer Sabrina Iqbal tied 13th overall at 1 over. Sophomore Morgan Miller tied 15th at 2 over. Junior Lauren Waxer Gooding tied 20th at 3 over. Senior Haley Schalk tied for 47th at 10 over. And freshman Carolyn Fuller tied 96 at 26 over for a collegiate debut. While the team may not have placed as high as they'd hoped, Colorado head coach Ann Kelly said that overall the team made good progress. The Buffs will compete at the Colonel Wallenberg Ram Classic at the Tardamagin Country Club in Fort Collins next week.
The first Arizona State Papago individual golf tournament came to a close this past week as 4 Buffs men's golfers took part. Junior Frederick Eisenbells led the Buffalo squad overall, finishing 20th out of the 34-man field. He was in position to score a top 10, but he double bogeyed both the 10th and 12th holes to end up finishing with an 8 over par total score. The Buffs men golf squad returns to action as a full unit next Monday and Tuesday at the New Mexico William H. Tucker Invitational in Albuquerque.
It's a big week for both men and women's cross country as they prepare to compete in their first official meet of the season at the Virginia Invitational on Saturday morning. Both teams are ranked in the USTF CCCA coaches poll, with the men's team holding number 7 rank and the women's team taking the number 5 spot. With 24 teams competing, it's bound to be an electric start to the season.
The club baseball team is set to kick off their fall season this weekend. They finished this past spring campaign as the number 6 ranked team in the country, their best finish in program history. Another first for the program was a trip to the National Club Baseball World Series last May, where the Buffs were shocked number 1 ranked Utah State before falling in the quarterfinals to Florida State. The black and gold will welcome back All-American catcher Blake Carey, slugging first baseman Andrew Garcia, and more as they take on the Wyoming Cowboys in a Sunday doubleheader at 12 and 3 p.m. at Scott Carpenter Park. You can catch all of this season's action live on our YouTube.
I'm back going hard again. I'm shutting down my heart again. No one can get next to me, so they gotta put orders in. Try my best to act like I didn't care, but I can't hold it in. And I'm not in the losing, I go hard as I can go to win. I'm back going hard again. I'm shutting down my heart again. No one can get next to me, so they gotta put orders in. Try my best to act like I didn't care, but I can't hold it in. And I'm not in the losing, I go hard as I can go to win. You pillow talking to again, you breaking the code again. I'm on the road again, we snucking this with them poles again. This chopper do tricks, you can fold it in. I know they be hating, I still pose they we still on they block like we pose the slid. They dropping with me on my road to ridge.
Who's the biggest Buff fan here? Hey Buffs fans, I'm here to give you guys this week's rundown of our upcoming games. CU is set to play a bunch of ranked teams this weekend. Let's see what's coming up. Our 20th ranked women's soccer team has a tough matchup against the 5th ranked UCLA. The girls play at 7 p.m. on Saturday at home, so make sure to pack the stands and help the Buffs take down the Bruins. And next, the football team also takes on a major challenge as they travel to Oregon and take on the 10th ranked Ducks. The game is at 1:30 on Saturday, and I think Prime can make another upset happen. There's going to be another heater on Sunday when the volleyball team takes on the 4th ranked Stanford. The game is at home at 12, so wake up and get to the event center and cheer on the Buffs as they dismantle the Cardinal. That ends the ranked matchups for this weekend, but the women's tennis team has a tournament in San Diego that started yesterday and ends on Sunday. We wish the girls good luck before they left for the San Diego USTA Intercollegiate. Hope you're able to keep up with all that. We've got a great one this week, and be sure to catch up on all these games on our socials. Once again, I'm Nick Evans, and Go Buffs.
Now it's time to reveal our play of the week. We asked you on our Twitter which of the following plays was the best, and this week's vote was a true nail-biter. Was it the stunning pick 6 by Shiloh Sanders to put the Buffs ahead against CSU? Man, that was special. Was it the spike by Lexi Habrich for her career-high 22nd kill and the volleyball team's big win over Denver? Was it the 45 throw and catch from Shador Sanders to Jimmy Horn Jr. that sent Henry Blackburn flying and set up a game-tying 2-point conversion after a 98-yard drive? Oh man, left him in the dust. Or was it a storybook hero, Mikey Harrison's 3rd visit to the end zone on Saturday after a beautiful play design to put the Buffs ahead for good? Man, wow. Drum roll, please. The winner, receiving 43% of the vote, is Shiloh Sanders. The anticipation and speed he had on this pick 6 became a 10 to 14-point swing for the Buffs in the first quarter and helped to earn him the Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Week award. Truly a play reminiscent of his dad, Coach Prime's football career.
Now it's time for this week's trivia answer. We asked you who was the last CU receiver to have 3 consecutive 100-yard games. Drum roll, please. The answer is Charles Johnson. In the 1994 back is the glory days of Colorado football that are looking to be revived by Coach Prime and the new looks Buffaloes. We have seen Deion Sanders be able to motivate his players. Take a look at the moment he had with Jimmy Horn last weekend against CSU.
We had an instance on the sideline this last game where Jimmy was having a horrific game. He's a receiver, Jimmy Horn. And I said, Jimmy, you're a dog. We from Florida, man. And guess what? Papa's at the crib and he's incarcerated watching you right now. And he wants to clap in front of all his different inmates because he believes in his son. We're going to make Pop proud tonight. That's what we're going to do because his son is a dog. Now you go out there and show the world who you are. And in return, he went and caught the touchdown, the game-time touchdown. And he was having just speaking life into Jimmy and understand where he was, where he was located. I've been there. Because I sympathize and empathize with him and I know his background and his situation. So I'm able to pull that intangible out of him that I connect to him in a pivotal time like that. And that's why I got to know my kids. I got to know this team. I got to know them individually as well as collectively.
Wow, I guess that's what it takes to catch crucial touchdowns for the nation's most popular squad.
It sure is. That's all we have for this week. I'm Oliver Hayes, joined by Kianna Daye. And as always, you heard it here first.